excuse anyway. Next question is from Mohammed Azraf. The imposter syndrome is part of the reason why I haven't launched some programs yet. It's been 5 years.
5 years, okay.
5 years. How would you know and decide that a product is good enough? We're going back to well-formed outcomes, aren't we? Good enough to charge a premium. And secondly, any powerful tips to combat the imposter syndrome? There's a lot of people talking about imposter syndrome nowadays, aren't there? Have you noticed?
Yeah, there is.
It seems to be a buzzword, you know?
I totally agree. I've noticed that probably in the last year and a half, it's out there more. Since probably lockdown has kicked it off, where a lot of people are kind of moving online. So it means they're actually putting themselves out there in a way they weren't doing before. And hence all the internal chat going, am I good enough? You know, does everyone really love me? All the stuff that some people do is becoming more prevalent.
And I have noticed, which amuses me greatly, we didn't have anybody doing this last Saturday on our webinar. I have noticed some people on webinars, when you look at the audience, you've got people doing this, and all sorts of things. It's like this is just a mirror, and they're completely disconnected from the process. And then they wonder why this doesn't work for them.
Yeah, they've not really mastered what it's all about. But I do want to talk very specifically. So I think there's two things I would just want to pick up with the imposter syndrome. Is it valid? That'd be my first question. Are you an imposter? Yeah. Okay. So it might not be a question that might automatically spring to mind, but it's where my mind goes. Yeah. Are you dabbling? Really? You playing small? Yeah. You kicking the tires, or are you putting everything into what you've got? If you know that you've put everything into what you've got, you're doing your best work. You know, we're back to preeminence and greatness. Yeah. Then there's no imposter syndrome going on there. Yeah. So the imposter syndrome, whatever that is, could be there for a reason, because every behavior serves a purpose at some level. It's, are you doing your best piece of work? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, the imposter's bang right on your case. Okay, so there's a benefit to it. Do a better job. There is the other side to that argument, which is, at what point does it go from being a secondary gain, keep working on something so you don't have to launch it, or is it I'm working to get this right? So I'm all for having things imperfectly perfect or perfect imperfect, whichever way around, it works the same. Yeah. Let's do the work. Let's get it as best we can, and let's get it out there.
Yeah.
Because then getting it out there, that will let you know whether what you're offering is of value, and will then command the premium prices. That's the only way you're going to know, by doing the experiments.
Yeah.
And just because you may not get your premium prices at the beginning doesn't mean it's a failed experiment. You have to look at the experiment and go, is there something about what I've done that maybe I need to improve? It could be the marketing. It could be the research as to who you're presenting your material to. Yeah. I had a similar experience, by the way, Mohammed. I was at Michael Neal's house in California. Okay. And there was a coach there. And Michael said to me, he put it out to everyone, said, do you want to be coached by this guy? And nobody put their hand up. And he said, Steve, we've got this great coach. No one wants to be coached. Would you go and be coached? And I went, well, I haven't got an issue. He said, well, just go. So I sat in the chair. And this guy said, what do you want? I said, nothing really. Life is good. Okay. Oh, I know. Something's just popped into mind. It's, I've been working on these recordings and I haven't put them out there. So it's similar. I've been working on them for about 5 years and hadn't really pushed them out there. And the guy really challenged me. It was quite provocative. Yeah. to get me to look at why I wasn't putting it out there. And it was because I had this perception of how it all should look before I put it out there. Okay. And the perception was just made up in my mind. Yeah. It was part of secondary gain holding me back from just letting this out into the world. So we come back to that first question about well-formed outcomes, and the one that I said I think is really important. Yeah. Just check, what does the imposter syndrome do for you, give you, get you? Yeah, reveal any of the secondary gain that may be coming from that, work on that. But you know what? Launch it. Get it out there. Run a test. You know, that's what we've done, Tina, isn't it? We did the prosperity mission as a test. Yeah. Put it out there to a relatively small group of people to get some feedback so we know what it's worth. It's the same with the Secret Agent to Change membership site. We put it out there to a relatively small group of people to do the test so we can then put it out there and go, we know the value of this. And by the way, we could cap it here, but the market could go, actually it's worth more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the work, put it out there.
And again, as Steve said, we're back to well-formed outcomes. That sequence and those different tests within that process is invaluable. And the other questions that Steve was saying there, you know, what does it give me, get me, etc. All of these, Mohammed, are in your manual, in your NLP practitioner manual. So these questions, if you look at the beginning of the manual where it's looking at like desired state, present state, all of those, that's where the questions are. Answer those questions, run through those processes.
Something's just popped into my conscious awareness as well. Especially because Mohammed was on the prosperity mission. Do a reframe on the word premium. Premium, quite often, it's not about premium to you. It's a premium to your client. You know, premium value.
Yeah.
A lot of people process premium as an expensive. So make sure that there's nothing there about the word premium which you kind of maybe have anchored to some sort of financial threshold.